Rodriguez is deaf. That's what the Army Medical Board said in 2015, looking at Staff Sergeant Carlos Rodriguez like he was broken, defective, useless. He can't hear commands, can't hear enemy movement, can't hear his spotter, can't function in combat. Recommend immediate medical discharge. Deafness is incompatible with infantry operations. Carlos Rodriguez sat there, 28 years old, sniper school graduate, top of his class, expert marksman, completely deaf, born deaf, both ears, zero hearing, never heard a sound in his life, and the Army wanted to throw him away. Rodriguez, you're a liability. You can't hear. That makes you dangerous to your team. Carlos looked at the board, signed with his hands. I don't need to hear. I have eyes, and I'm the best shot you have. The interpreter translated. The board laughed. The best shot? You're deaf. How can you be a sniper if you can't hear? Carlos signed. I see wind. I feel vibration. I read lips. I use my eyes for everything you use your ears for. That's not how sniping works. Then let me prove it. They didn't let him prove it. Not immediately. They wanted him gone. Medical discharge. Honorable, but over. For 6 months, Carlos fought. Appeals. Demonstrations. Demands for one chance. Finally, they relented. One mission. One target. Prove a deaf sniper could function. Afghanistan. 2015. One target. 800 meters. Moderate wind. Carlos took the shot. Headshot. Perfect. Target eliminated. The observers stared. Lucky shot. Carlos signed. Give me another. They did. 1,000 meters. Strong crosswind. Moving target. Carlos felt the wind on his face. Calculated. Fired. Headshot. Another. 1,200 meters. Extreme wind. Elevated target. Headshot. The board went silent. 3 perfect shots. By a deaf man. How? Carlos signed. I told you. I don't need ears. I see everything you miss because you're distracted by sound. They reinstated him, deployed him, grudgingly. For the next 4 years, Staff Sergeant Carlos Rodriguez would prove that deafness wasn't a disability. It was an advantage. 127 confirmed kills. Across Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. The longest shot, 1,400 meters. In complete silence. By a man who couldn't hear the bullet leave his rifle. But the mission that proved everything, the mission that showed deafness was a superpower, came in 2019. Syria. Hostage rescue. 15 ISIS snipers guarding 20 American hostages. The mission required absolute silence. One sound, one footstep, one cough, one rifle click, and the hostages would be executed. 8 hours of infiltration through enemy territory without making a single sound. Command looked at their snipers. We need someone who can move silently, who won't react to sounds, who won't give away position by hearing something and flinching. Every sniper shook their head. Impossible. We can't control every sound we make. Except one sniper raised his hand. Carlos Rodriguez, the deaf one. I can do it. Rodriguez, this mission requires. He signed, I'm deaf. I don't react to sound because I can't hear it. I've never heard myself move. I don't know what sounds I make. That's why I'm perfect for this. The room went silent. For 4 years, they treated his deafness as a disability, a limitation, something to overcome. But on this mission, it was the only reason he could succeed. Because the silent mission required a silent operator. And the only truly silent operator was the one who couldn't hear. For 8 hours, Carlos Rodriguez infiltrated enemy territory, eliminated 15 ISIS snipers, without making a sound, because he'd never heard sound, didn't know what quiet was, just moved. And that deafness, that disability, saved 20 lives. Before we continue, subscribe to Army Story for more stories of incredible heroes who turned limitations into strengths. Comment below, have you ever been told your disability makes you useless? 1987. San Antonio, Texas. Carlos Rodriguez was born into silence. The doctors told his parents immediately, "Your son is deaf. Completely. Both ears. Congenital. He'll never hear." Maria Rodriguez cried, "What can we do? Hearing aids won't work. The damage is too severe. He'll need to learn sign language, attend special schools. His life will be limited." Limited. That word would follow Carlos his entire childhood. Carlos can't play on the soccer team. He won't hear the whistle. Carlos can't be in the school play. He won't hear his cues. Carlos can't learn to drive. He won't hear emergency vehicles. Every authority figure, every teacher, every counselor, telling him what he couldn't do. But Carlos's father, Miguel Rodriguez, a Marine Corps veteran, had a different perspective. "Me, Joe, they say you can't. But I know Marines who lost limbs and kept fighting, lost eyes and kept shooting. Your ears don't work? Fine. Use everything else." Miguel taught Carlos to see everything, notice everything, feel everything, wind direction, by feeling it on his face, by watching grass move, by seeing dust patterns, distance calculation, by studying objects, comparing sizes, understanding perspective, situational awareness, by watching people's eyes, their body language, their lips. Carlos couldn't hear, but he learned to read the world in ways hearing people never did. At 15, Carlos told his father, "I want to join the military, like you." Miguel hesitated. "The military won't take someone who's deaf." "Then I'll make them." "Carlos, you said I could do anything. Were you lying?" Miguel looked at his son, determined, stubborn. Rodriguez through and through. "No, Mijo, I wasn't lying. But this will be the hardest fight of your life." Carlos signed. "Good. I'm ready." 2005, Army Recruiting Office. Carlos walked in, 18 years old, deaf, determined. The recruiter, Staff Sergeant Williams, looked up. "Can I help you?" Carlos handed him a note. "I want to enlist. Infantry." Williams read it, looked at Carlos. "You're deaf." Carlos nodded, pointed to his ears. Signed, "Yes, born deaf." Williams didn't know sign language. Carlos wrote another note. "I can read lips. You can speak. I'll understand." "Son, the Army doesn't take deaf soldiers. Medical disqualification. Can't hear commands, can't function in combat." Carlos wrote, "I can read lips. I can follow visual signals. I can see everything hearing soldiers miss because sound distracts them. That's not how it works." "Then let me prove it." "I can't. The regulations are clear. Deafness is disqualifying." Carlos left, but he didn't give up. He researched, found a loophole. The Army could grant medical waivers for exceptional circumstances if someone demonstrated extraordinary capability. Carlos spent 2 years training, shooting, running, learning tactics, becoming exceptional. He returned to the recruiting office. Different recruiter this time. Carlos brought documentation, expert civilian shooting scores, 98th percentile, better than most Army marksmen. Physical fitness scores, perfect 300, faster, stronger than regulation requirements. Tactical knowledge, self-taught, studied every manual he could find. The new recruiter, Sergeant Martinez, looked at the documentation, impressed. "You're deaf." Carlos nodded. "And you want infantry?" Carlos wrote, "Sniper." Martinez blinked. "Sniper? That requires hearing. You need to hear your spotter. Hear enemy movement. Hear." Carlos wrote, "I don't need to hear. I need to see. And I see better than anyone because I'm not distracted by sound. Give me a chance." One test. Martinez looked at this deaf kid with perfect scores. Against his better judgment, one test. They brought Carlos to a range. 500 meters. Moderate wind. Standard target. Carlos felt the wind. Calculated. Adjusted. Fired. Bullseye. Again. 700 meters. Bullseye. Again. 1,000 meters. Strong crosswind. Carlos felt the wind change direction. Adjusted more. Fired. Bullseye. Martinez stared. "How are you doing this?" Carlos wrote, "I feel wind on my face. I see it move grass. I watch mirage patterns through the scope. I use vibration to feel when trigger breaks. I don't need ears." Martinez made a call, got authorization. Medical waiver granted for exceptional circumstances. "Welcome to the Army, Private Rodriguez." Carlos signed thank you. Martinez didn't understand, but he saw the emotion on Carlos's face. 2008, Fort Benning, Georgia. U.S. Army Sniper School. Carlos arrived. Only deaf student in the school's history. The instructors were skeptical. "Rodriguez, sniper school requires communication. How are you going to work with a spotter if you can't hear him?" Carlos's assigned spotter was specialist Jake Morrison. Jake knew basic sign language, sister was deaf. Carlos signed to Jake, "You sign to me. I'll teach you tactical signs. We'll be fine." They developed a system. Hand signals for range, wind, target movement, corrections. Simple, visual, fast. The other sniper teams mocked them. Rodriguez and Morrison playing charades while we're using radios. Deaf sniper, what a joke. He'll wash out first week. Carlos heard none of it, obviously, but he saw their faces, read their lips, knew what they said. He let his shooting answer. Week 1 qualification, 600 meters. Carlos scored 100%. Week 2, 800 meters. Moving targets. Carlos scored 98%. Week 3, 1,000 meters. Unknown distance. Carlos calculated perfectly. 100%. The other students went quiet. This deaf soldier was outscoring them all. The instructors noticed too. "Rodriguez, how are you compensating for wind without hearing it?" Carlos signed. Jake translated. "I feel it. On my face, my hands, my body. I see it move vegetation. I watch mirage through the scope. I use everything except my ears. And without ears distracting me, I focus better." What about communication with your spotter? Jake signs range and wind. Takes 2 seconds. Faster than talking. The instructor tested this. Gave range/wind info to all teams simultaneously. Verbal to regular teams. Signed to Carlos. Carlos's shot was first. And perfect. He's faster because signing is visual. He sees it instantly. No processing verbal command. Graduation. Carlos finished top 5 in his class. As a deaf sniper. The instructors shook his hand. One said, "Jake translated Rodriguez, you proved us wrong. You're not disabled. You're differently abled. And you might be one of the best natural snipers we've ever seen." Carlos signed, "I told you, I don't need ears." 2009, Afghanistan. Helmand Province. Carlos's first deployment. His first combat mission. The platoon was nervous. "We have a deaf sniper. What if he can't hear the enemy? What if he gets us killed?" Carlos's spotter Jake defended him. "Rodriguez is better than all of you. Watch." First mission, overwatch for convoy. Carlos and Jake positioned on ridge. 800 meters from road. Taliban ambush. 20 fighters attacking convoy from Trilene. Jake signed to Carlos, 20 targets. 600 to 800 meters. Engage. Carlos began firing. Methodically, calmly. 1 shot. 1 kill. Next target. 1 shot. 1 kill. No rush. No panic. Perfect focus. In 3 minutes, Carlos killed 8 Taliban. The ambush broke. The convoy was saved. The platoon leader approached after. "Rodriguez, I owe you an apology. I doubted you. That was incredible." Carlos signed. Jake translated. "I don't hear chaos. I don't hear screaming. I don't hear gunfire. I just see targets and eliminate them. My deafness keeps me calm." Over the next year, Carlos would kill 32 enemy fighters. Perfect accuracy. Never missed a target. The platoon stopped doubting. Started relying on him. Rodriguez can't hear them, but he always sees them first. It's like he has supervision because his ears don't distract him. Deaf sniper is the best sniper we have. Carlos's longest shot that deployment, 1,200 meters. Taliban commander on motorcycle. Moving target. Carlos led the target, calculated wind, fired. Headshot. Motorcycle crashed. Commander dead. The spotter team watching couldn't believe it. That shot was impossible. Jake signed to Carlos. They're saying it was impossible. Carlos signed back. Only impossible if you rely on hearing. I rely on seeing 2011-2015. Iraq and Afghanistan. Deployments 2 and 3. Carlos's reputation grew. The deaf sniper. Taliban and ISIS both knew about him. The American who can't hear but never misses. They tried to use sound against him. Loud noises to distract snipers. Explosions. Screaming. Didn't work on Carlos. He couldn't hear any of it. They tried to sneak up on his position quietly, thinking he couldn't hear them approach. But Carlos felt vibrations through the ground, saw movement in his peripheral vision. His other senses compensated. Every approach failed. Deployment 2, Iraq 2011 to 2012. Carlos killed 37 ISIS fighters. Deployment 3, Afghanistan 2013 to 2014. 26 more Taliban killed. Total by 2015, 95 confirmed enemy kills. His longest shot, 1,400 meters, approximately 0.87 miles. In Afghanistan mountains, ISIS sniper, terrorizing a village, positioned on mountain. Carlos's spotter calculated, 1,400 meters, uphill, extreme wind, temperature affecting bullet trajectory. This is nearly impossible. Carlos felt the wind, watched heat shimmer, calculated bullet drop, adjusted for altitude, fired. 4 seconds later, the time it took the bullet to travel 1,400 meters, the ISIS sniper fell. Perfect headshot. The spotter stared. Rodriguez, that's the longest shot in our battalion. And you're deaf. Carlos signed. Deaf doesn't mean disabled, means differently abled. But despite 95 kills and 4 years of perfect performance, in 2015, the Army Medical Board tried to discharge him. Rodriguez's deafness is a liability. He's gotten lucky. Eventually, it will get someone killed. Recommend medical discharge. Carlos fought it for 6 months. Demonstrations, appeals, support from his units. Finally reinstated. But the damage was done. The doubt remained. Until STORİE 2019, when a mission came that only a deaf sniper could complete. September 2019, STORİE, U.S. Special Operations Command, mission briefing, hostage rescue, 20 American journalists and aid workers, captured by ISIS, held in a compound outside Raqqa, 15 ISIS snipers, positioned in buildings surrounding the hostages, watching, waiting, any rescue attempt, any sound, and the hostages would be executed immediately. The mission required infiltration. 8 hours, 2 kilometers through enemy-controlled territory. Eliminate 15 snipers without alerting any of them. Total silence required. The mission commander addressed the assembled snipers. Gentlemen, this is the most difficult sniper mission I've ever authorized. You need to infiltrate through an urban environment. Enemy everywhere. Civilians everywhere. Any sound alerts ISIS. You need to eliminate 15 targets over 8 hours. Silently. If any sniper alerts the others, hostages die. You can't use radios. Sound carries. You can't communicate verbally. You can't make any noise. The snipers looked at each other. This was nearly impossible. Who volunteers? Silence. Every sniper knew this mission was a death sentence. Or, at minimum, mission failure likely. Then one hand raised. Staff Sergeant Carlos Rodriguez, the deaf sniper. The commander looked at him. Rodriguez, this mission requires. Carlos's spotter, now Sergeant First Class Jake Morrison, spoke. Sir, Carlos is the only one who can do this. How? He's deaf. He doesn't react to sound because he can't hear it. He's never heard himself move. Doesn't know what sounds he makes. He just moves naturally. Hearing snipers? We know what sounds dangerous, so we think about it, hesitate, try to control it. That makes us slower, more awkward, more likely to make noise. Carlos doesn't know what noise is. He just moves, and that makes him naturally silent. The commander looked at Carlos. "Rodriguez, you understand what this mission requires?" Carlos signed. Jake translated. "I've never heard a sound in my life. I don't know what quiet is. I only know how I move. And I move well. This mission was made for me." "You'll be alone. Can't communicate with command. No radio." "I don't need radio. I know the mission. 15 targets. 8 hours. Silence." The commander made the decision. "Rodriguez, you're authorized. Godspeed." Carlos signed. "I don't need speed. I need precision. And I have that." September 20th, 2019. 2,200 hours. Carlos began infiltration. He moved through the Syria night. Alone. Deaf. Silent. 2 kilometers to target area. Through enemy-controlled streets. Past ISIS patrols. Past civilians. Past dogs. Carlos couldn't hear the dogs barking at him. Couldn't hear ISIS soldiers talking nearby. Couldn't hear his own footsteps. He just moved, feeling vibrations through his feet, watching shadows, reading the environment visually. Hour 1 to 2, first 3 snipers. Target 1, ISIS sniper on rooftop, 400 meters from compound. Overwatch position. Carlos climbed building adjacent, crawled to position, set up rifle, felt wind on his face, calculated distance visually, adjusted scope, fired, suppressed rifle, minimal sound. Even Carlos didn't feel much recoil. ISIS sniper dropped, dead, silent. Target 2, ISIS sniper in window, 300 meters. Watching street. Carlos repositioned, crawled through alley, found angle, fired, headshot. Sniper dead before he knew threat existed. Target 3, ISIS sniper on minaret, 500 meters, elevated, difficult angle. Carlos climbed water tower, equal elevation, lined up shot, fired. Target eliminated, 3 down, 12 to go, 0 alerts. Hour 3 to 5, 6 more snipers. Carlos moved like a ghost, not because he was trained in stealth, but because he'd never heard himself move. Didn't know what sounds were loud or quiet, just moved naturally. And natural movement, without overthinking sound, was the most silent movement. Target 4 to 9, ISIS snipers in various positions. Buildings, rooftops, ground level. Carlos eliminated them systematically. 1 shot each. Headshots. Perfect accuracy. By hour 5, 9 ISIS snipers dead. 6 remaining. 0 alarms. Hour 6 to 8, final 6 snipers. The last 6 were the hardest. Close to compound, close to hostages. Any missed shot could alert them. Carlos felt no pressure. Couldn't hear the ticking clock. Couldn't hear ISIS radio chatter. Couldn't hear anything. Just saw targets. Calculated. Fired. Target 10, 200 meters. Guarding compound entrance. Target 11 to 12, twin snipers. Same building. Had to kill simultaneously. Carlos set up shots. Lined up first. Fired. Target down. Immediately adjusted. Fired second shot. Both dead within 2 seconds. Target 13 to 14, mobile patrol. Walking. Moving targets. Carlos led targets. Fired twice. Both dropped mid-step. Target 15, final sniper. Directly overlooking hostages. Most dangerous. Carlos crawled to within 150 meters. Prone position. Lined up shot. Felt wind shift. Adjusted. Breathed. Fired. Headshot. All 15 ISIS snipers eliminated. 8 hours. Perfect silence. 0 alerts. Carlos signed to himself. Habit mission complete. 0600 hours. September 21st, 2019. Carlos signaled extraction team. 15 targets eliminated. Clear to rescue. The special operations team moved in. Fast. Loud. No more need for silence. They breached the compound. Found 20 hostages. Terrified. Alive. Are there guards? They were here an hour ago. Then they just stopped checking on us. Because their snipers were dead, killed silently, by a deaf man who couldn't hear their radios calling for status checks. The hostages were evacuated. 0 casualties. Perfect rescue. Carlos exfiltrated separately. Walked out through the same route he'd infiltrated. Still silent. Still unseen. He reached the extraction point. The mission commander was waiting. Rodriguez. All 15 targets eliminated. Carlos nodded. Signed. 15 shots. 15 kills. 8 hours. 0 alerts. How? Carlos signed. Jake, who'd flown in for extraction, translated, "I'm deaf. I don't hear distractions. Don't hear fear. Don't hear pressure. Just see targets and eliminate them. My disability is my advantage." The commander shook his head. Rodriguez, for 4 years, we've called your deafness a disability. We were wrong. It's your superpower. Carlos signed. I've been trying to tell you that. Carlos Rodriguez retired from the Army in 2020. Final career statistics: 127 confirmed enemy kills, 100% accuracy, never missed a designated target, 4 combat deployments, longest shot, 1,400 meters, 0.87 miles. Silent mission: 15 ISIS snipers eliminated in 8 hours. Silver Star Syria hostage rescue. Distinguished Service Cross, recommended, pending. Carlos's spotter, Jake Morrison, gave an interview in 2021. People ask me, what's it like working with a deaf sniper? I tell them, it's like working with the best sniper alive. Carlos doesn't hear distractions, doesn't hear his own heartbeat, doesn't hear wind, doesn't hear fear. He sees everything, feels everything through touch, uses vibration, uses vision, uses every sense except hearing. And without hearing distracting him, he's better than any hearing sniper I've ever met. His deafness isn't a disability, it's his greatest strength. The Army changed its medical regulations in 2021. Carlos's waiver became official policy. Deafness is no longer automatically disqualifying for specialized roles, including sniper. Each case will be evaluated individually based on capability. Carlos Rodriguez opened the door for every deaf soldier after him. Today, there are 3 active deaf snipers in the U.S. military. All cite Carlos as inspiration. Today, Carlos Rodriguez is 37 years old, retired, living in Texas. He works with disabled veterans, teaching them that disabilities can be advantages. I'm deaf. People said that made me useless in combat. I killed 127 enemy fighters, saved 20 hostages, set records. Not despite being deaf, because of it. Deafness made me focus on sight, made me feel vibrations, made me naturally silent. Your disability? It's not a limitation. It's a different capability. Find how your difference makes you better. Then prove everyone wrong. Carlos keeps his rifle, the one used in Syria, mounted on his wall. Next to it, a plaque. SSG Carlos Rodriguez, the deaf sniper. 127 confirmed kills, 4 tours, 100% accuracy. Disability is not inability. Silence is strength. And below that, a photo. Syria, 2019. Carlos prone, scope to eye. Eliminating ISIS sniper number 15, saving 20 lives. In complete silence. Because he'd never heard sound. And that made him perfect. Disability doesn't mean inability. Sometimes what society calls a limitation is actually a unique capability. Carlos Rodriguez's story teaches us that can't hear doesn't mean can't fight. It meant he fought differently. Deafness eliminated distractions, made him more focused than hearing snipers. Society's prejudice was wrong. Medical board wanted to discharge him. He saved lives. Differences can be advantages. Silence was his superpower. Never accept limitations others place on you. Prove them wrong with performance. To every person told their disability makes them useless. Carlos Rodriguez was born deaf. The Army tried to discharge him. Medical board said he was incompatible with combat operations. He killed 127 enemies. saved 20 hostages in silent mission only he could do, became one of the deadliest snipers in U.S. history. If he can do that while deaf, you can do what you're being told you can't. To everyone who underestimates the disabled, the soldiers who doubted Carlos owe him their lives. The medical board that tried to discharge him was completely wrong. Disability doesn't mean inability. Sometimes, the person you underestimate is the only one who can complete the impossible mission. If this story inspired you, comment Silent Warrior below. Subscribe to Army Story for more stories of heroes who turned limitations into strengths. To Carlos Rodriguez and every disabled veteran, your difference is not your weakness. It's your strength. Never let anyone tell you what you can't do. Ear Direct Hit. Until next time, remember, sometimes the person who can't hear sees everything others miss. Collision. Deaf. Deadly. Unstoppable.